All right, guys, so I'll do a portfolio update, my usual weekly update, my favorite video, also the one that lasts the longest. Before I jump straight into my holdings, starting with Newmont as usual, let me show you the GDX and the GDXJ chart. I'm going to do a video right after this covering gold and the miners specifically. But, just for some context, we had a wild Friday. Everything was up, including the miners, thank goodness. Huge day. I mean, look, we were up 5-6%. GDX, you can see we almost touched, in my opinion, absolute obvious resistance, which is 30. We were at 29.80. That's the same as 30. But what you really want is a close above 30. I've said that before. It's a clear resistance. And once you clear that resistance, you should start moving up to 32, 33, etc. Obviously, you would need the market to favor this. Now, I don't know if the miners are going to move up with the markets, or they haven't really been moving up with the markets the last couple of trading days, except Friday. And I think it was all related to this idea that the rate increases are on a pause. I'll talk about that more in my other videos. But anyway, that's the context. Friday, the miners moved up with the markets. They didn't for the last couple of trading days, but they did on Friday. In my opinion, it's related to the interest rate decision. Bank of England, for example, that paused. And I think it's just more indication that the Fed will pause. I don't think that's a groundbreaking change, though, because interest rates remain very high. GDXJ actually outdid the GDX. You can see here it did actually touch its resistance, in my opinion, 36 equates to 30. But GDXJ has been underperforming GDX, but actually Friday's move just caught up massively. And in my opinion, now GDXJ is outperforming GDX, which is very bullish, very nice to see. Gold also, just quickly to recap, gold totally underperformed the miners, which is good to see. I like to see the miners catching up with the underlying metal, because a 0.3% move in gold is absolutely meaningless. It's pretty much unchanged. It's a nothing. Up $6 is the same as not up at all. Well, almost. So obviously we would need to see gold close above 2000 and really test 2050 to see some follow through in the miners. But it was very strange to see the miners up 5-6% with gold basically unchanged. However, we did see silver up quite nicely. So that's something else. Silver also needs to catch up with gold, because silver's been underperforming gold, just as the miners have been underperforming the metals. So really, it was a catch-up day Friday. It was the more aggressive GDXJ catching up with GDX, and silver catching up with gold. So it's very nice to see. It's just one day. That doesn't change a general trend, but it was very nice to see. Okay, portfolio update. Let's start with Newmont. Newmont had been struggling a bit, but then again, all the miners had been struggling a bit. Up, not even 3%. It's not a massive move. We had some big moves, almost 10% moves in some of the stocks, especially the silver ones, which makes sense. But look, Newmont really needs to be up here. I mean, the GDX needs to close above 30, and the equivalent of that for Newmont would be a close above 41. So we're still some way away from that. So I would say Newmont is underperforming the GDX. Look at that, 5% away. So look, at least it was up, but still not up enough, in my opinion, and still needs to close above 41. Then we can start talking about these moves up here, which, to be honest, equate to the equivalent horizontal lines that I have in GDX. So I think it's 32 for GDX up here, 33, etc. But what we really want to see is a close above this descending. Then we can start to really move. And I can't see the GDX moving that much without Newmont moving up significantly, because it makes a big part of the GDX. Newmont, Barrick Gold, Agnico-Eagle, they're the big three, in my opinion. So, and Newmont really absolute lows. Imagine this is the start of a big move. I mean, you're going to see Newmont just move so much higher, closing above 56 eventually and going for this high 80s. I mean, that's more than 100% away. So we're absolutely at the lows. But at the same time, look, we've got this double bottom, higher low double bottom, and that'll be confirmed once you close above 41. That's what confirms a double bottom in technical charts. So look, Newmont underperforming, but that just means you have more upside percentages ahead of you if this really is the beginning of a big move. So, but 3%, not that impressive. but that's why we are at the lows. Now, Barrick Gold, same sort of percentage move. You can see it's far from its lows, so outperforming Newmont. Just want some continuation on Monday. You know, a close above 17 would really do it for me. Then we're back to the 18 and then higher. So Barrick is doing way better than Newmont, and you just want that close above 17. So there you go. Levels on the downside, they remain the same. You know, I didn't cover Newmont. I don't think there's much point in talking about the downside. Last time I said that, everything started to move down, but Friday's move was so explosive, so meaningful that I don't think there's much point in talking about the downside. But then again, you can always freeze my videos because, to be honest, my downside, they haven't changed. You know, looking at Newmont, it's the same downside targets. I haven't put the support for Newmont here, but it's the last low. Agnico-Eagle, a lot easier to call. You can see here the 30 on the GDX equates to 50 on Agnico-Eagle, roughly. So we need to close above 50, and that could quickly happen on Monday if there's follow through. I mean, there should be a close above 51 if there's any decent follow through. And then we start attacking 53 and 54. And then, and it's a bit like the others. Look, Newmont, you know, you have one or two horizontals, then you have the descending. Barrick Gold, okay, you don't have a descending there. You have a major descending here. That's a bit away. Agnico-Eagle, though, look, it's just 1, 2, 3, and then the descending. They all have a bit of a descending coming, like a medium term descending. So yeah, you know, let's close above 50, then we can hit 50, 52, 53, 54, and then we've got the descending. Pan American Silver, this one did do quite well. Look, that's a nice 6% move. We've got the descending coming up very close to the horizontal, so that's a bit of a difference. That's a big move. For me, a close above 16 is pretty big. Okay, we have a bit of a gap fill, but that was actually filled already. To be honest, once we start attacking 16, it's 16 the level. It's not 15.8. It's 16, and once you hit 16, you are hitting the descending, the medium term descending trend line. So a close above 16 will be pretty meaningful. That'll take you straight to 17, a little back and forth cup and handle, and then bam, explosive move higher to the next descending, which is a lot more significant because it's longer term. So look at this explosive move. It's if gold and silver can continue a rally, especially silver, Pan America could really be coming out of a massive low here. So, and again, double bottom, higher low. Very, very nice to see. Very nice Pan American silver there. Wheaton, pretty big move for a big monster that moves very, very slowly. So Wheaton for me, you know, a streamer, a sort of, well, a very big streamer that doesn't move that much. Very defensive play. The one thing I don't like about Wheaton, and it's not its fault, it's just the way it's the nature of the big beast. Not much upside, you know, 15, 20% away from absolute highs. And I mean, you know, highs that surpass 2011 highs. After that, I mean, obviously it will keep going up, but not big percentage moves expected from this, but very nice move on Friday. That's because it hasn't really moved down much like the others. So it didn't take much to take out its descending, but still pretty big move, you know, beating Newmont, which is absolutely destroyed at its lows. For me, resistance is just under 46, this here. You can see it paused just below, but we closed above the descending. So let's see if we can move up a close above 46, or just above this horizontal line, 45, let's say 80. A close above that, and then you should start moving up to the next levels. I'm not even sure if this is a level 47. Besides being a round number, it's not really a big level, but this will be 48, the prior support that should be resistance. It didn't actually get the opportunity to act and prove its resistance, but I think it will be. And after that, it's really just the high of 50, 52 and 52.5. So it will take some time for Wheaton to get there, and it would need the whole sector to continue a big rally. But I think Wheaton will be one of the stocks to get to its absolute highs the first. So it'll be one of the earliest ones to hit its highs. So that's good. At which point, maybe it'd be worth selling the whole position. Obviously, it's a very good industry, you know, streaming. But if there's a new bull market, you're going to get big moves in other stocks. So we're in this business to make money, not to get married to a stock. And Wheaton has performed its job very glamorously. You know, it's held its own, it's made good money, it's prevented me from losing money on the way down, and it's made decent money on the way up, but it's time to make more money elsewhere. So I think Wheaton is one of the ones I will start to sell as it nears its highs. Honestly, I'd probably try and sell before I think the whole sector takes a drop. Maybe there's a retracement after a big move up, and I'll probably sell the whole position in 100% move, something I rarely ever do. I like to get in and out in tranches, you know, 5 to 10 tranches. And this one, I'd probably just sell the whole position. If I get it wrong, whatever, it's not going to be, you know, how much will Wheaton move up? If I sell the position and it keeps going up, you know, they'll probably move a move of 3, 4, 5% up before the retracement happens if I mistime it. So I'm not worried about selling the full position in Wheaton to enter something else. But look, very good. Let's see if we can close above this 40, 45, 80, and then see if the sector can take us basically to 52. Okay. First Majestic. This was a big one. So absolute lows, a bit like Newmont, except on, was it Thursday? Absolutely smashed in the face because of earnings, I think, right? Bad news. That's the only thing that can take it down. And just without thinking, First Majestic, everyone knows it's at its lows. So when you see minus 15%, was it on the day? I mean, I look at the charts. That's why I leave these trend lines in. I can see this long-term ascending. And whether I'm off by 1 or 2 millimeters, it touched it, you know. Am I right here? Is it a 420? Is it a 430? Well, it hit 440. It is absolutely the same price. Whether you're buying a 440 or 420, it's the exact same thing. So I bought this. I forgot if I bought it at 448, 458. No, it was more. It was less than 458. Again, same thing. Even if I bought at 460, you know, what's the difference between 460 and 420? 10%, 0%. So anyway, I bought the lows. Let's call it 450. And there you go. The next day up it goes. And the next day was Friday. Look, up 9%. You can see where did it touch? It almost touched $5. You know, normally I would sell this at where it is. Actually, I would sell price support equals resistance, right? And it kind of did, but it closed above, which was quite meaningful. You know, it's a good close actually for something that gets smashed for good reason on earnings. So I think First Majestic made a very impressive rally. I mean, look, it closed nearly at its low of day also on Thursday. Obviously, all the markets and the sector was up nicely, so it makes sense it's up. But 9% is quite impressive still. What happens now? No idea. Does the sector keep going up? I think so. I think the thing is the markets have gone up quite a lot, so I'm not sure if the market's going down means the GDX, the miners go down. That's for another video. But just technically looking at First Majestic, you know, if you believe in the sector, in the thesis, this is a buy. Even after climbing 9%, you know, buying at $5, as I've already done, is good. If it keeps going up, this descending should be resistance. So no need to stretch it out even more. It may run into resistance before 520, but I think that 560 will be resistance. Let's just imagine we keep going up on Monday, or even if it takes 2, 3, 4 business days, you're going to reach resistance, you know, 550, 560 just before this candle here, this candle high. I think around here will be resistance because it has been for ages. And plus we're coming out after a big drop for good reason. So it should be resistance. And then who knows, it retraces and then it breaks out of it. That's something else. We also have this other major resistance, which is it's coalescing here. So let's see if we were to stretch it out even more. I mean, they almost converge, but you know, let's say we hit 550, 560, we retrace, we go back up. It's this part here. It's this 590 just before $6. This will be a huge breakout moment, not only because it's the high from here, but it's also because it's going to be the two trend lines, you know, hitting the same point here. Once you close above $6, you clear a psychological number, you clear this horizontal, you clear the secondary and more important descending. And for me, as long as obviously the metal and the sector are not flushing down the toilet, you should start seeing a squeeze. First Majestic is due for a massive squeeze, and maybe that's what this was for. Maybe okay, bad news is bad news, but you need one last flush, and then you are buying the absolute low, and then you see this huge move up, a reversal that doesn't even retrace too much. So I have this First Majestic. I'm not even talking about it as a business, just as a stock that has been completely crushed in the face. It's one of these silver squeeze stocks, right? Remember, was it here? I forgot actually when silver was squeezing. I think it was on that Sunday night. Was that what this was? And then they were able to put a lid on this squeeze, and it just, it was an anticlimax. In the end, it just retraced. But this is one of these silver squeeze stocks. I don't know how many there are, 5 or 10 or something, but this is probably the number one. And I just really have good hopes for it. I think technically, just technically, if we can come up here, and obviously you need the sector to help, and the underlying metal, the silver specifically, if you can go here, hit its head, go down, retrace, and then pop up and start to attack this area, and then close above 6, you could have hit the absolute low down here. So let's see. Obviously, the whole market can roll over, and then we start testing the lows and flush again. And to be honest, if you flush again, as long as there's no signs of this thing going bankrupt, an even better buy. So let's see. We've only had one day, and it really was a special Friday where the GDX, GDXJ were up 5-6%. That's what followed the big crush. So it's really way too early to see if there's any follow through. But so far, I think this is a fantastic buy. Just manage your risk. Don't have too much in one stock. Of course, you never know what can go wrong. Okay, First Majestic. I have to make sure I'm following the same order. This is doing quite well, actually, compared to some of the other silver stocks that I own. It did quite well. And to be honest, it was also a decent Friday. So look, they all have the same sort of pattern, following the GDX, GDXJ, especially the GDXJ. Nice move, up 6.5%, closed above 3. That's nice. Really, I don't need to change any of the trend lines. I kept this one quite clean. Could I add another descending here? I could. It's really halfway point between this. Actually, that's quite pretty. So let's see if there's follow through. Really want to see that close above here, 3.23, 3.2 at least. This was when it had bad news. When I say bad news, it's earnings, most likely. Bad earnings, bad numbers, down it goes. Then I think the sector rallied, and I was quite impressed. I remember saying at the time that it went all the way back up to its pre-earnings, and then what a fantastic place to then retrace back down from. And then look at this bounce on support, really technically perfect, picture perfect, nice bounce. Okay, almost gets back to 320. We retrace a bit and back up we go. I think it's a good story. Let's just get out of this little bottom, that this is sort of semicircle bottom we've got here. And I think to do that, we've got to close above 320, and then we can start to attack higher numbers. And we might hit resistance here on this descending. But I don't really see, besides this, I don't see much resistance until all the way up here, 390, just before $4. So obviously you need the metal and the sector, but that's it. On the way down, you see the clear support, prior support down here to 260. And then if we flush even more, I mean, I'm not really mentioning support zones in this one, but just look at the horizontal or the ascending or descending lines I've got in place before. Okay, let's look at EXK. Now, this one is, I think it's the weakest. It's always between this one and Discovery Silver. So, coming from the absolute depths of the abyss, made new lows, really not a good stock at the moment. Technically, just in the dumpster. I mean, it's still got support zones below. There are worse stocks out there that have no support from the past. So it could be worse, but it really is one of the weakest stocks. At least we had a nice day, right? Up pretty much 10%. At one point, it was 11%. The high it touched was the high from back here, just late October. So at least it was green, right? It has a long way to go. The levels, I mean, yeah, this was prior support. I guess that kind of counts. We really need to close above this high from back here. It's got a long way to go. The good news is that you can make a massive percentage move of profit. If the sector is gonna keep going up, which would need the metal to go up, we probably need the dollar to go down. We'll talk about that in a different video. But if it is the low, it's gonna move up a lot. But I mean, 220, 230 is just so cheap. And that's after the big move on Friday. So, you know, what if it goes down? Well, okay, support's going to be $2, the absolute low from down here. Might as well make it a round number and it can go down to 180. I remember, and you have lower support, but on the way up, 250, yeah, roughly. Then I haven't added this line. I don't want to have too many lines, but I'll be honest, I feel like the high from its attempted rally here, that will also be resistance, so 265. And then once we clear that, and really for me, the big one, yeah, over here, 275. I don't know if it's 275 or 280, but once we close above here, that's when you know, just to zoom out, that's when you've cleared this prior support. I think that will really suggest, okay, this was the low, let's go up. And then you have these horizontals on the way up. This one probably doesn't count anymore. But I mean, it's got a lot of work to do. You know, it's going to find resistance on the way up. So 250, 265, I think that's going to be pretty important to clear. But look, at least it had a 10% move, but EXK has a long way to go. I'm not adding, I haven't added to it actually. I think I added to it down here in the 220s, 230s. But when it kept on going down, I just said, no, there are other stocks that they're also cheap, but they have better support and they're more likely to go up or go down less. So I haven't added to EXK on these last couple of, let's say, 7 trading days. But anyway, nice to see it up 10%. I think only this sector can help it. I don't know if it has earnings coming up. That's just my ignorance. I don't actually know. But what it could do with is good earnings. That would really take it out, and it would probably move up quite a lot based on that. All right, let's look up my favorite of them all when it comes to silver moving up, Coeur d'Alene, CDE. So up 7%. It's probably up about 10% at the high update. Nice. That's it. Got to go to 280. Let's go up to 280, and it can do it. It's the type of stock to go and make that move in one trading day. So if we have any follow through on Monday, honestly, it could probably touch 280. It might not close above it, but once we do, because it will, and this stock is so much healthier looking than EXK, there's just climbed back up here. This one, you can see the low was from, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I like that. That's a higher, that's actually very nice and healthy. And it's very, very cheap. So once we close 280, then we can start attacking 330. I remember 330 always being resistance. I might as well leave it at 330, 340, but it's really 335-ish. So let's close above 280 and we'll go straight past 3 and all the way up to 335. And that is a huge percentage move, actually. From where we are, 260 all the way up here, 30%. That's good money, and I'm sure it's going to make it. It needs silver to go up. It needs gold to clear 2,000, which it's done recently. But I'm talking about, you know, holding 2,000, not just being there and then dipping below. I'm talking about 2,000 becoming a floor rather than resistance. So yeah, I have great hopes for CDE. Let's see. So far, higher low, really much higher low. It's not even a double bottom. The double bottom was done already. It's now finding support where prior resistance was, and from there, just got to clear 280, 335, and then from there, you can start zooming out. To be honest, once you clear 335, I wouldn't even see this as resistance. I wouldn't see this as resistance. I would just see this like 4, the highs above 4, not even 4. So I think that is a clearer picture of what I expect. On the way down, yeah, the prior support from down there, let's say 240, and then it would be the absolute lows. So actually, let me just readjust. That's it. Those are the only levels to watch. Okay, another one that's not on my list, but is on my holdings. Discovery. This one, beautiful. Okay, so that's a nice candle. I don't even know if that's real. Did it really start the day at 40 cents? Let me see. Oh, it's hard to tell. These illiquid juniors are just, let's just keep it like this. So for me, yeah, it's this one here. It's 54. 54 is absolutely paramount. We need to close above 54. And then you can start attacking this descending, which to be honest is getting lower and lower and lower. Let me just extend this. Right, might be off by a few millimeters. So how much of a move from where we are to 54? All right, just over 10%. We can do that. If there's any follow through, there are quite a few of these stocks that will start hitting very significant technical levels, and this is one of them. So once we can close above 54, let's just say 55 for good measure, and hold it, not just touch it and close below it. I'm talking about close above 55. Then you can say the bottom is in with some certitude, and then you can start attacking this descending, and it's all about this descending. You'll touch it, you'll go back down to mid 50s maybe. But once you close above this descending, especially 69, 70 for me is the absolute flashpoint. That's when you can just squeeze to one. And we're at 40 cents pretty much, 40 to 50 cents. So that's over 100% move. So this one could be at the absolute lows. It's a good stock. Okay, look, I don't follow any company in absolute detail. I've given up doing that. I mean, even the ones that I believed in, they've let me down. That's why I've stopped with absolute micro cap juniors. I'm more into the seniors and the medium tiers, let's say, because you can make enough money there and you can sleep comfortably at night. You're not going to wake up and all of a sudden it's down 60% because their drill results weren't great. It's bad for your heart. So this one here, you can climb up a little bit more. We're back up above this very important line. I think this is important. It was the resistance from a long time ago before it absolutely squeezed when it became a bit of a discovery, pun intended. And now I think it's come back down way too much. I don't consider it really a junior. I mean, it's not really a micro cap junior. And I remember it from back here when it was trading on the 1 and the 2s. But yeah, this is really the small silver that I hold. A small silver play, and I've heard good things about it. I think it will make it. It just needs to close above 55. That's step number one. But we're absolutely at the lows. So just one of those companies that needs to have some follow through. So, what happens if on Monday the markets retrace because the general markets, the stock markets have gone up a lot? Do GDX, GDXJ go back down with the markets? That would be very unfortunate. And, will a stock like Discovery go down too and make new lows? That's something to consider. But the absolute low for me is 40. No need to draw it in. I'll do it anyway. But, big round number also happens to be the low from back here and the low from Friday, actually, if that's a real candle. But at this point, I said it before, Discovery is operating on 10-cent increments when it comes to supply and support and resistance. So 30 cents, not an obvious support, but probably is because of the psychological number. After that, 20 cents, look at that. That's a bit more obvious. Okay, those are the silver stocks done. Now I'm going to the more, what I call the miscellaneous ones. I also own, this one's been quite good to me, Aris Mining, Grand Columbia when I owned it. That's changed its name. Now, look at the other, if you look at all the other stocks that I've held, that you can see they've been making new lows in the last couple of weeks, months. This one hasn't. It's actually outperformed overall. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And then on Friday, it did what I really wanted it to do, which is close above its descending. One of the very few stocks that have actually done that. This is the descending that has lasted for months. Okay, so medium-term resistance, and cleared it perfectly. I also had this resistance for it, 260. It pretty much opened at 260, closed 268. Very nice, cleared it. Now it just needs that one extra move. Another stock that needs not as much as the others, but just needs to close one more day higher, like clear 280. Then it looks really good. Then it's got that sort of ascending triangle look to it. Okay, this is not very accurate, but you know what I mean? Ascending triangle. So bam, you close above that and up it goes. I'm going to delete this because it's not too helpful, but not many have this chart pattern yet, so it's one of the strongest ones, outperforming its peers, and looks good. Clear 280, up we go to 310. I don't even think 3 is a level. This gap I don't think really matters, in case some of you are wondering. So very healthy, very good stock. It's one of the few that had good earnings. I normally would have sold into this, but I actually didn't have it on my radar on that day. And very happy with this one, very happy. I think it has a good dividend too, actually. It's one of those unknowns. Like, I don't know what the dividend is now, but I think it was like 3, 4, 5%, pretty high. So look it up. Aris Mining used to be Grand Columbia. Very proud of this one. And actually, it can make a massive move long term. I see it going up to 5. I see it going up higher. And okay, look, this is deceptive, this chart. This was supposed to be a company going bankrupt, but it is one of the few that actually cleared up its balance sheet, became a sound company, and then it just went down with the sector, but it's got good fundamentals. So yeah, Aris Mining. Right. Next one is Mag Silver, which also had good earnings. Last time I forgot where it is now. It's been so much. I think it was up here, good earnings, but then came down with the sector. Of course, we know gold went back down to 1800 and the GDXJ got smashed as usual. And now here we are coming out of possible double bottom. I don't think there's been any negative news since it's good news, so it should be trading way higher. Gold is at 2000. Why the hell are we down here? It's the same story with all of them. But look, it's attacking, it's descending. We just need to close. You know, closing above the descending is one thing, but to really confirm it, you've got to really close above the next horizontal after the descending. So here's the descending. Okay, let's be honest. On Monday, imagine we keep going up. What would be a close above the descending? Well, anything above 1130 probably, but just to be sure, a close above the last horizontal high. So up here, 1160. So once you close above 1160, you've definitely cleared the descending, just in case I got it off by a few millimeters, because you've cleared the horizontal. So mathematically, you must have cleared the descending, right? So once you see a move above 1160, for me, again, as long as there's no smash in the metal the next day or this sector collapse for whatever reason, you should start to see this move all the way up to 1350. And then at which point you're attacking a longer term descending. So a close above that will be even more significant. So what would be a close above that? 1350. So you know what I mean? 1150 all the way up here, not in one straight line. There'll be some back and forth. And then 1350, and then bam, you're just squeezing. That's just the way I see it. That's the way it usually pans out, up to 17. You know, a squeeze won't take you to the next one and just stop there. It'll probably take you there, little sideways, and then up. So Mag Silver for me, because it was one that a few months ago I wanted to get rid of it because it just wasn't acting that well compared to others. But then it had good news, and I think that the market hasn't forgotten the good news. So let's see some technical squeezes, and then once we get up, if it starts to lose a bit of energy, then I'll get rid of it, because I do think that there are other better plays. And, you know, I'm trying to make the most money I can with the money I've got invested. So there will come a point where I will prefer another stock to MAG. But at the moment, I think MAG deserves a bit of my money. That's why I've got a small allocation to MAG, especially after the good earnings. So that's MAG for you. Right, next one. Another one that I've lost in TradingView. If you haven't subscribed to TradingView, you're only allowed 30 stocks. So if you accidentally delete a stock, you can't get it back. So I have to keep track. Gogold, another one of my miscellaneous ones. This one I bought when trying to chase a depressed miner, because at that time when I bought it, the miners were making up good ground, and this is one that was lagging. And in the end, I held it on the way down because the sector went down, but it actually hasn't gone down as much as others, so it's not the worst thing to have bought. And it looks okay. Went up. That's step number one. Went up on a big day up. 4.35%. We need to clear this line here. We need to clear the last high, specifically $1. There you go. Very simple. And to be honest, once we clear $1, we're pretty much touching this medium-term descending. It's the same story with quite a few of them. We've got their one day, one candle, one up candle away from attacking their descending. So let's close above 1, preferably 103, 104, 105 to really clear it. And then we can start attacking the next horizontal. It's the same story with quite a few. 114, and then up here. This is a big one. This one, we haven't cleared this in months. So I think, and again, once you start attacking this horizontal 130, you're hitting a longer term descending. And these counts, look at this, 1, 2, 3 clear pivots over months, even years, you could say, like 1.5 years or something. So let's close above 1, and 1 is important, you know, just to keep yourself listed and all that. Then you start attacking 114, 115, which is the halfway point to 130. And then you hit 130. Obviously, we're not going to do it in one go, but I want to see one or two more up days in quite a few of these. Because not just because I want to see them go up and make money, but that's when you start to technically break out, like confirm your bottom. And this is one of them. So Gogold, very nice. Actually, now that I've remembered, I haven't covered a lot of the downside on these, but again, just pause the video and see where my horizontal lines are. This one, though, I should readjust, actually. It's just to the old low from down here, 80 cents. So maybe some of my prior coverages I've not got the correct, because I need to readjust now and then. I've actually forgotten to do that, but let's just say in this video, I'm covering the upside. Okay, K92, KNT. Yeah, this one, it's done it twice. Massive flush down, then it bounced, come back down, massive new flush, and now it's bounced. At least the bounce is good, 8%. That's nice. It's really got to close above. This candle keeps, this trend line is not as obvious. There is a trend line here, I just don't know where it is. Let's zoom out. Maybe if I readjust it to here. It's hard, it's a rough trend line. There's one here somewhere. I don't know how accurate this is, but you know what I mean. But anyway, this one down here definitely was correct. 480. Why did I have that? Because of this area here. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll readjust it again. Actually, I'll delete it because it's really this trend line here. 450, 460, 450, whatever, same thing. Okay, I'll make an average there. So the last low, that's your support. I mean, whether 466 or 450, it's the same thing, whatever. Now, we have climbed back up to this trend line here. So you can see there was support here, there was support here, there was pretty much a bit of support here. Here we sliced right through, big moves, but we've reclaimed that territory. Let's call it 540, 550. On the upside, this I think is pretty obvious. $6, it's a big round number. It's the last high. So if there's any continuation, this should be resistance. I can't see it just going straight through all the way up to 670, which is again clear resistance, right? The last two times we've hit it roughly. I think there's pretty clear resistance on the way up. Support, you know, where we are here is this support kind of, this is a level. Let's just call it a level rather than support or resistance. It's an area. It's an area of interest, let's say. On the way down, I think I'd keep it simple with K92. 460-ish, 540-ish, 670. Those are the levels I see. And once you hit 670, let's be honest, you wouldn't get there in one day. You'd get there in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days. You probably start interacting with the descending. So another one that has its descending coming up, but not as imminently as others. I think it's a good company, though. I mean, just ignoring the stock action, the very little I know from K92, I remember hearing a lot of good things about it. And you can see zooming out, there's a good story behind it. It's just been retracing, and it's just had a bit of a weak picture for some time. Then again, a lot of them have. But this one's just, you know, it's found it hard to rally for several weeks, actually. It's not the strongest, I'll put it that way. Okay, the last one, Metalla. Now, this one's a good one to finish on. Now, Metalla, I started to buy it in the 290s. I think I bought again 280 something. I'm kind of fully allocated to Metalla. I don't have the biggest position. I probably got about a third in Metalla than I have in Newmont. So it's, you know, one of my weakest holdings, Metalla, but it's a new holding, so it makes sense. And I've been buying all of it under 290, 280s. And very happy. Obviously, it had a nice move on Friday. It's very nice to see 8% move. I don't think I've ever seen that since I've held it. It closed above 3. That's nice, psychological number. I could tell that it was doing a round bottom. It was, you know, on some days it was weak when others were strong, but there was something else to it. It just looked like it was doing a round bottom, and all it needed was a day like Friday. Next stop, absolutely obvious to me, 340 on Metalla. Support here, support there, resistance. And by the time you hit resistance here, you're interacting with the medium-term descending. So I'm going to leave these trend lines where they are. I could move this one up because obviously support is 270. Why did I have it down there? Actually, this this is even better. What am I talking about? Because it hits there. I'm going to leave it where it is there. So I'll just update the support, but otherwise what you see is what you get. Support and resistance. Looks very good. I will finally finish on Eldorado. I don't own it, but one of my subscribers does. And look, had a nice move up, hit resistance here at 11. Now it had a nice move. No, it did not have a nice move on Friday. It went up on Friday, but it underperformed the others because it's had such a massive move recently, you know, like well done holding it. It's very good, very strong, hit 11, kept going. By the way, resistance also coinciding roughly with this resistance, which is 1140, but it's underperforming a lot of the other ones now because it's just tired. It's had a huge move, you know, not many people want to buy it up here. And maybe quite a few sellers want to sell it here, you know. So imagine, I don't know, you probably have some hedge traders. They're selling Eldorado, but buying First Majestic, you know. So whether gold or silver move up or down, they're going to make money anyway, because you're probably going to have Eldorado moving down more than First Majestic or whatever stock you're hedging it against. So it's just to say Eldorado, at least it was green, but you're probably disappointed with its move on Friday. And that's because it's just gone up already a bit too much. And to be honest, you're also interacting soon with its own medium descending. So I expect decent resistance around here. So even if there's follow through on Monday, you might have it up again, touching here, but you may even see it red. Imagine GDX is up 1.5%. You may see Eldorado like below 11. So I just think it's tired, you know. No matter how good the news is, I don't even know the news. It's just some stocks they're tired, and you learn to respect that kind of pattern. Okay, as usual, I don't cover my juniors. I don't like juniors anymore. In fact, I didn't even look at them, but I'm guessing quite a few juniors were unchanged. Some of them are probably red, and that's what I don't like. I like to trade the miners, and to watch the metal price. And when you see juniors just not moving or red 10% randomly, when you see real stocks up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, it's just so makes it even harder to trade. And in the end, you just have to know these junior micro caps. You need to wait for news to sell into them. And it's not the way I like to trade. So anyway, I continue to not cover my juniors. So that's it. I'll make some other videos now covering gold, the markets, but I hope that was useful for you, my little weekly portfolio update. Enjoy your weekend otherwise, and good luck on Monday.